Hello guys, I'm Sandip. Right, so we have started the new chapter in the previous session, which is called as winds, storms, thunderstorms, we can say, and our cyclones. Okay, so in the previous chapter, actually, we have seen what are the winds. Right, winds are what we can say when the air is in motion, it is called as wind, right? Okay, so that wind has a lot of force, right, which can actually create this thunderstorms or cyclones also, right? Right here in the image also you can see the first image, very big trees, right? Very long trees are there, but even that wind has that much of the force that actually is able to push those trees, we can say, right? Okay. Then what is thunderstorm? Thunderstorm means so normally rainy rain or heavy rain, we can say, right? Thunderstorm means heavy rain which occurs with the lightning also, right? So in many movies you must have seen this kind of lightnings and etc. That rainfalls are there, right? Very heavy rainfalls are there. So in this session we are going to study about the thunderstorms, how they actually get created. Then cyclones. Cyclones, mostly the cyclones occurs near the coastal area, right? So we can say the places which are nearer to the ocean, right? There we get the cyclones, right? Then we also talked about the wind. Then that how that wind is generated, right? So wind generated because of the difference in the temperature of the air, and obviously how the air will get the different temperature due to difference in the temperature or at different places, right? We have seen that at equator, and the Earth is rotating, equator is closer to the sun, so it get the direct heat, but the other places cannot get the heat directly, right? So that is, we can call it as a indirect heat. Okay, so yeah, so this is why there is a difference in the temperature in the air above those places, therefore wind gets generated, wind current, we can say. Then we also talked about the sea bridges and land bridges, right? So how those actually occur, again due to the heating effect of this, right? Then we also have seen that pressure and pressure velocity, what is the relation there in terms of air, right? Now we are talking about the air right now. So in the velocity of air is more, pressure will be less at that point, right? And if the velocity of air is less, pressure will be high, right? So in previous session we also have seen that why that aeroplanes stay upward, right? Why? Because the bottom pressure is more and the pressure at the top of the on the wings of the aeroplane, we can say, are less, is less. Therefore, that aeroplane uh, moves up like that, we can say. Okay. Then I hope you also did some activities I told you to do in the previous session. That first one was the tin, right? When you fill the water in that and heat up that water, right? And after that, put the cold water in the tin. What will happen? That tin get compressed. That was a simple activity. Then paper strip, we have seen one activity, very small activity that was, right? Then that hot air activity, take two paper bags and just put the candle in bottom of the one, you can say, paper bag. That paper bag will go upward. Why? Because warmer air is going to go upward, obviously, right? Because it is lighter. That is why this whole thing happens actually. The wind, storms and cyclones. Even the rain is also the because of these things, right? How we get the rains actually, right? Okay. So today what we are going to cover: thunderstorm and cyclones, then destructions which are caused by the cyclones, So destruction means what? Obviously, we also discussed this point in the previous session that if you consider the India for India, I specifically told you that Puri place in Odisha, right? It's affected a lot by these cyclones. Right? There are many cyclones in the Odisha. So remember that point, right? In exam, they are going to ask you this thing, Odisha and Puri place, right? So there is a lot of destructions because of these cyclones, right? Destruction of property or homes, right? Okay. Also, then we're also going to study about the safety measures. What should we do in case of thunderstorm or let's say your cyclones, right? Okay. So let's see how the thunderstorm occurs actually. So this is a small, very good picture, very informative picture you can see. Okay. What you can see here is a very, very big cloud, right? And that big cloud is moving in this direction. Okay. So how that big cloud actually got formed? So now you already know that in the region where there is a direct sunlight we get, and that air becomes warm, right? Mostly we can also consider that in deserts also, right? The previous session we talked about the deserts also. So that sand in the desert get very warm in the daytime, right? Or in summer season, let's say. So the air which is above that sand is getting very warm there, and that warm air actually rises up, right? Why a warm air rises up? We already know that warm air is less denser. Denser means what? It is related to density, right? So you must have seen consider for water, right? Water, oil actually floats on water. Oil floats on water, right? So why it happens something like that? Because oil has a less density than water. Even you can say ice. Ice also has the less density than water. Therefore, ice floats. But we have also seen that one thing in the fluids chapter that only 10% of the ice is above the water, and 20 sorry not 20 90% of the ice is below the water. Okay, so we have seen that part too. So as I was saying here, that warm air has a very less density compared to your cold air. And we know that the density which has a less density means that air is a lighter air that is going to move upward, and cold air is going to move downward. Okay. So now, so what happens if this warm air is moving upward? It is also carrying the water particles, right? Water droplets which are present in air, right? So humid air we can say, right? Humid air means what? Consider humid. Now let's talk a little bit about humidity. Humidity means the water content in the air is more. If more humidity means water content is in air is more. Simple, you can take example that in rainy season what happens? Our clothes do not dry very easily, right? In summer there is a lot of heat, so clothes dry very easily. But in rainy season, even though consider if there is no rain, it takes a lot of time to dry those clothes. Why? Because the water content is more in the rainy season, right? Okay. So why those water content is more? Because let's say water particles are there present in the air, right? More humid air is that. Okay. Now what is happening in this case? This warm air, which got generated because of the heat or the more temperature, we can say that warm air rises, right? That warm air rises upward, which also take this water contents within it, which also take this water content with itself above, right? And after it goes to a sufficient height, again at the top, when it gets some, let's say, it becomes heavier, let's say, than the denser air, right? Heavier, we can say, as long as we go upward, obviously density decreases, right? So at some point, what I can say, that water content or humid air is going to be more heavier than the light air, we can say, air which is at the top. Right? What will happen that in that case? That water particle again going to drop. They will become freeze. They freezes, right? So freezes and they are going to drop. Right? So now, what is going to happen in case of this thunderstorm we are talking? When there is a large quantity of this warm air is there, which is rising like this, it creates a very big cloud there, right? Creates very big cloud like this, right? And this cloud is going to, and what is happening inside that cloud? There is a warm, humid air which has the water content, and that water content, after getting a little bit of cold, we can say, right? Then it is going to fall towards the ground. And now that limited area is there, right? So if the area is limited, whole water content is in that cloud, which is going to fall towards the ground. And now that speed of that water particles are very high, and as it is a limited region, limited space, we can say, very heavy rain is going to pour down. Okay. So this is how the thunderstorm actually gets created. Now, what about the lightning? So when these particles are actually falling down, and air is also applying some friction on that water particle. So can we say there is a little bit of friction? Friction we already have studied in case of solids, right? But liquids also have some frictions. Even though fluids also have some frictions. So these water particles are getting, we can say, rubbed with that air particles, and because of that there is a lot of friction and a lot of heat is generated, and that heat generated we can call it as lightning, right? Also we can relate this to our electrostatic thingy, that potential between earth or ground and potential at the clouds becomes very, there is a difference in the potential, therefore current flows. Also we can say that part. Okay. So therefore lightning occurs, and lightning hits the earth. Now lightning is a very dangerous thing, right? Obviously it has a lot of current, a lot of shock, we can say. So we don't want that lightning, right? So in India normally thunderstorms are not that heavy. Even the lightning is also not that heavy, right? Okay. So this is about the thunderstorm. Now let's see how we can take the precautions in the thunderstorm. So let's see. So some safety tips are here. First, they are saying keep an eye on the weather updates. So in this type of, in most, especially the rainy seasons, we should always watch the news channels, listen on the radios, right? About the weather updates. Nowadays, even on the mobile, we get the updates, right? So we don't have to worry about that. Even mobile also keeps us the alert about the weather updates. So that's very easy to monitor right now nowadays, right? Okay. So first thing that, then take a shelter immediately. So whenever lightning starts or thunderstorm starts, try to take the shelter. Right? Go inside the home. Don't go outside, obviously. Right? So third, we can say don't go outside unnecessarily. So when it stops raining or lightning, then you can go outside. Till then, stop inside the house. Then stay away from any wires and antennas. Why? Because obviously wires are what? Wires are our conductor of electricity, we can say, right? So lightning is also electricity, and we don't want the electricity to go into the cables. Cables will conduct those electricity, so we have to keep a distance from those wires and antennas. Then avoid contact with the water. So when we say water, actually pure water is a bad conductor of electricity. It will not conduct. But in rainy season, everywhere is water. That water is not pure, right? There are a lot of impurities in that water. Okay, so if there are impurities, then obviously that impurity is going to make the water conductive. So even though the pure water is bad conductor, this water conductor can make it good conductor, right? So that whatever lightning is there, it is going to go into the water. So we have to avoid the contact with water. Then call for help if someone is struck by lightning, right? Now, if some person got struck by lightning, it is actually it will be unfortunate, and it is not easy to save from that incident, right? But still, if you observe somebody getting struck by lightning, call for help of the others, so you could get the immediate attention and can take him to the hospital, etc. So these are some thunderstorm safety tips. One more thing you can do is car is actually a very good thing, right? So in the case of lightning, go inside the car, right? Car actually acts as a shield, right? Car will not let allow the lightning inside you, right? But again, there is a lot of problems, right? So car can also there is a fuel and etc. So lightning will create heat and etc. Right? So that's also not a very good thing, but we can say we can try that one. Okay. So let's move. Next, we have the cyclones, right? So when we talk about the cyclones mostly affect the coastal areas. I told you, right? So coastal means those areas which are nearer to the oceans. Okay, so it is like a tornado. Tornado is what? Tornado means tornado doesn't need the ocean. It happens in the land also, right? Where there is a lot of sand in deserts, we can say tornadoes are common. In India, there are not a lot of tornadoes, but in outer countries, yeah, tornado is also the case. So tornadoes are that smaller, not smaller, very big, right? So they are also moving with a lot of speed, we can say, right? Almost we can say 100 kilometer per hour. So they can cover 100 kilometer in 1 hour, like that. And also those are also destructive. Now, cyclone also looks something like a tornado. In this case, you can see in the diagram, but in case of ocean there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this cyclone. So you can see this tornado has some height, right? So as the cyclone, right? The main thing at the center of the cyclone is called as eye, right? Center of the cyclone it's called as eye. Okay, so in that eye, actually, the that eye part or central part, it's not that high speed we can say wind are there. It is a calm, right? Calm, very small winds are flowing there, right? Small velocity winds, we can say, right? So this eye part is only almost up to 10 to 15 kilometer in diameter. This eye is 10 to 15 kilometer in diameter, and all the other part, this bigger one, is almost 100 kilometer, you can say, right? Okay. So as we are going away from the eye, what is going to happen? That speed goes on increasing, right? And also you can see here dense outcast, overcast is there. Dense means those winds are very dense there. Okay. So like this, those winds right flow everywhere. Okay. So what is happening now that winds are so powerful that they can even generate the tornado in the water. Right? Normal tornadoes, we know that they get generated on the land and they will rotate that sand around itself, right? And destructing everything. Again, those are high speed winds. These winds are very strong, right? They have the power to rotate. We can say that water also. Right? We have seen the diagram at the start only. So this is the water you can see. So this central part you can call it as eye. You can see there is nothing lot is going into the center. But from away from that, it is a very high speed winds are there. Okay. And also due to the pressure difference, they also achieve some height up to 10 to 12 kilometer. So this height is also up to 10 to 12 kilometers. So they rises up to 10 to 12 kilometers, right? So from the even from the coastal area also you can see those water is rising. So it looks like that wall of 10 to 12-kilometer wall of the water is coming towards you. Right now, that's very dangerous scene, right? So that's a very big height, and that wall of the water is coming towards you. Then obviously you have to run very fast, right? Okay. Then initially, when there was no technology, it was very difficult to understand that cyclone is coming, right? But nowadays, now it is getting very simple. Not that simple, but we can give the alert, right? Even in the cyclone in 2019, we got the alert earlier, right? So why this is happening? Because now we have the satellites and all those technologies. So through the satellites, we can actually see what is going there, right? So if the cyclones got generated middle in the ocean, we can understand before it is coming, right? So almost 24 hours before it is coming, we do know that there is a cyclone, right? So we can take the necessary measures to relocate the people where the cyclone might hit, right? Like that. Okay. This is about the cyclone. Here you can see the speed of the wind in this range. Right? In case of cyclones, right? Here you can see this structure, home structure there. Right? It is also getting pushed, right? So you can also imagine how much will be the speed of that cyclone and how much pressure actually it is lying there. Okay. So let's talk about the safety measures. What should we do in the cyclones? So let's say before cyclone, right? So before cyclone, first of all, let's say ignore rumors and keep calm, right? What happens normally when there are rumors that cyclone is coming, there, everybody becomes panic. And if they become panic, then it is going to be very hard to relocate and everything, right? So keep calm, because nowadays we, as we said, that by because of the technology, we do get the alert 24 hours before, right? So obviously we can take some actions. Then keep your electronic devices charged. So obviously we need the mobile, right? So what we'll do without the mobile? So obviously not for playing games, but for emergency contacts, right? So your electronic devices should be charged, because obviously power is going to be cut there, right? Then follow TV and verified social media handles for updates, right? Verified social media means what? News channels, you can say. Nowadays we get the news on the, let's say, WhatsApp, right? So many news on the WhatsApp are not uh, real news, right? They are, most of the time they are rumors also. So we have to see the verified social medias only. Then keep your first aid kit ready. First aid kit means that band-aid thing and etc. which we have. So in case of injury, we should have that first aid kit ready. Then store essentials in waterproof container. Right? Essential means whatever food material or drinking water. We should put those in waterproof container, not in our normal paper bag. Right? Paper bag will not be sustained in the cyclone, obviously. Set animals loose for their safety. So if you do have the pet animals like a dog or cat, don't tie them. Why? Because obviously, if the cyclone hit, they should be able to run if they want, right? If they are tied, they will not be saved. Okay. Yeah. During cyclone, now let's see what to do during cyclone. So if the cyclone now approaches to us, what to do? So first, disconnect all the electrical mains and gas supplies. Right? As we know, there will be water and wind and everything. So these electric currents are going to flow everywhere, which we do not want, right? Therefore, whatever electrical means, meter, main switch, gas supplies, just shut it down, everything. Then keep the doors and windows bolted, right? So obviously that's a simple thing to remove. consider that all the doors should be locked properly. And move to the cyclone resistant place beforehand. So now, as I said, that we are going to get alert before 24 hours. So try to get relocate somewhere, right, before the cyclone hits our place. Simple. Then keep track of latest updates by authorities on the news, not on the WhatsApp, right? We know that. Drink uncontaminated water only, right? Means mm, uncontaminated means pure water, we can say. Right? So contaminated means there is a lot of impurity there. We should not drink that water because in this case, in cyclones or etc., right, many we can say many viruses will be there in the water. So we don't want that. Then trust warnings from the officials only. Means what? So government news channels or government officials, obviously they are going to help. There will be a lot of jawans, armies from a nation, right, which are going to be ready to help us, right? So trust only their warning. Do not trust any rumors. Okay, simple. Then after cyclone, now what to do when cyclone is gone? Now we want to go to our home, right? Okay. Avoid entering any damaged building. Now, this cyclone, we know that is going to do a lot of damage. A lot of loss of property will be there, right? Not in lakhs, but in crores, we can say property will be lost, right? So it can also damage the building, right? So whenever you are entering your building, right, your home, right, check whether it is damaged, right, somewhere, because it is possible that after some time it will fall, right? So that's not good. So first of all, check whether the building is damaged. If it is good, then yes, you can go. But if it is damaged, don't enter into the building, right? Then be careful of broken electric poles, wires, and other sharp objects. So wires, as I said, that wires are the conductors, right? They are going to conduct electricity. So we have to keep away from them. Obviously, they will be broken after that cyclone hits that, right? Then move to the safer shelter as soon as possible. As we already know that, right? If your building is damaged, we cannot enter into the damage or building. We have to move to the safer shelter, which are actually created by the government officials, right? So government is all there to help us, right? So these are some safety measures we should consider after the cyclone, right? So this whole thing about this session as well as this chapter, very small and sweet chapter, right? And not that much to understood. Can remember the chapters. So what to remember? Wind, we have studied in the first session. Heating effect, those things. Then in this session we studied about the thunderstorm. Then we have studied what to do or what not to do in case of the thunderstorm, lightning, right? What are the safety precautions? Then we studied about the cyclones also. What happens in the cyclone? And what is the simple structure of the cyclone? That I is the calm part of the cyclone, right? We know that part. So you should go very easy chapter. So not a very difficult, right? Okay. So let's see some questions on this session. So first question says the winds from the ocean carry water and bring rain. These winds are called, right? Now typhoon. So what is typhoon? Typhoon is nothing but a name, you can say, name given to the cyclone. So in India we call it a cyclone. No, US they call it as a hurricane. In Japan it is called as typhoon. So every country has given the different name to the cyclones. Right? We do call it cyclones, right? So typhoon is a name of cyclone, you can say. Then monsoon, yes. When we say the winds from the oceans carry water and bring rain. I told you earlier also that those winds or the warm air which is going upward, it is going to carry water content. Right? So winds which are already on the ocean, they are going to carry the water, right? And once the water gets some cold there, they freezes, then we are getting rain like that. And those winds are actually called as monsoons. Then what is cyclone? Now already we know that winds occur. Why? Because low pressure, high pressure system there, right? Low pressure, high pressure, something like that. There only wind is going to revolve. Right. So first, let's see. Winds from the ocean carrying water. No, this is monsoon. We have seen in the previous. Very low pressure system with very high speed winds revolving around it. So that I we talked about, right? Let's take that out again. Yeah, this I has a low pressure actually, right? And high speed wind are moving around it, right? So high speed means obviously velocity is high, so pressure will be higher there. At the I part, we can say lower pressure system will be there. Therefore, we are getting that circular waves, right? Okay. Then, so yes, we can say very low pressure system with very high speed winds revolving around it, because I is a very calm part, very low pressure is there, right? Like that. And now see, obviously this is correct. So dark funnel shaped cloud, no, that's not true. That reaches from the sky to ground, no. Okay. So there's a cyclone. Then pick the odd one out. Right? I already told you that cyclone has a different name in different countries. In India, it is called a cyclone. In US, it is called as hurricane, and in Japan, it is called as typhoon. So these are nothing but all cyclones. Odd one is, which one is the odd one? Monsoon. Monsoon is the odd one. Okay. So mark this one. Then cyclone warning can be issued. Right. Also, we have seen this part too. Right. And then because of the technology, because of the different satellites, we get the information beforehand nowadays, and we can get the cyclone warning 24 hours in advance. Okay. Good. So this is the whole chapter of the winds, storms, and cyclones. So we have studied the safety precautions. So remember, those precautions are very important, especially if you're living in the coastal regions. Coastal regions do have a lot of possibility compared to others to get to hit by the cyclones, not cyclotrons, cyclones, right? So remember safety precautions also. Tell them to your parents, right? What safety precautions we should take. Okay. Good. Maybe it could be lightning, it could be thunderstorm, it could be storm, tornado, or cyclones. So we should know what safety precautions we should take. Okay, good. So anyway, we'll stop here. And if you do have any questions, please put them into forum. Okay. So have a nice day. Bye.